Hello, my name is Mark Anthony Dubose Jr., and I was born July 4th, 1986. Today I just want to read something right up front. Something very interesting that really just gets me thinking. The same way that I read all of these, it just constantly keeps getting me thinking. So I'd hope to be able to read something to get you thinking a little bit. So I'm going to start off. Listen, my sons, to a father's instruction. Pay attention and gain understanding. I give you sound learning, so do not forsake my teaching. For I, too, was a son to my father, still tender and cherished by my mother. Then he taught me, and he said to me, take hold all of my words with all of your heart. Keep my commands, and you will live. Get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget my words or turn away from them. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. The beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. Though it cost all you have, get understanding. Cherish her, and she will exalt you. Embrace her, and she will honor you. She will give you a garland to grace your head and present you with a glorious crown. Listen, my son, accept what I say, and the years of your life will be many. I instruct you in the way of wisdom and lead you along straight paths. When you walk, your steps will not be hampered. When you run, you will not stumble. Hold on to instruction. Do not let it go. Guard it well, for it is your life. Do not set foot on the path of the wicked or walk in the way of evildoers. Avoid it. Do not travel on it. Turn from it and go on your way, for they cannot get rest until they do evil. They are robbed of sleep till they make someone stumble. They eat bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. The path of righteousness is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of the day. But the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. My son, pay attention to what I say. Turn your ear of my words. Turn your way to my words. Do not let them out of your sight. Keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them, the health of one's whole body. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Keep your mouth free of perversity. Keep corrupt talk from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. Give careful thought of the paths before your feet, and steadfast in all your ways. Do not turn to the right or the left. Keep your foot from evil. That's the book of Proverbs, number 4. So, something that I've just come to really realize is, I just want to hold my Bible again. Something I just come to really realize the more and more I keep on reading this book and rereading it, that I'm telling you, I believe the number one way to be able to really figure out a lot about the Bible is to just keep on reading it, because you're going to run into different scenarios, even on a day-to-day. Something that I used to question and challenge about myself is these cycles of things that happen. One day you're just really good, and the next day you're just not all the best of the best. And it's a very challenging cycle sometimes to live in, but it's a must-needed cycle, because there's just the changes that happen to let you know what is good and what is just not so great. If everything was just always so good and 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 so good, how would you know what good even is? You would just be in good. And at the same time, you wouldn't know what tragedy is. And tragedy isn't always something that is just so bad. It's sometimes stuff happens to you just to let you realize what is good. And if you're just always in a way of living where you're just thinking that everything should just be given to you, and everything should be good to go, and everything should be awesome, and everything should just be amazing, and everything should be fun, and everything should be exciting all the time, that's in reality a life of absolute insanity. And that's crazily proven based on a lot of people that are in that I'm just, everything is just always so happy, go. You're not living a full true life. You're living a sense of falsehood, and that falsehood in reality is going to catch up to you. And when it catches up to you, it's going to be very, very devastating. It's going to hit you really, really hard. Something that is just, I would hope and want everyone to stay the heck away from. Something of the such of thinking that every day is just going to be perfect all the time. You're going to have times that are just, you're going to struggle. You're going to have times that are just not going to be all the greatest. But the main thing behind that is doing something that this Bible constantly keeps talking about over and over. And that's doing and staying away from doing evil things on this planet. There's such thing as things being hard and bad and difficult, But there's a completely different sense of going to something that's just completely evil, because you're not getting, say, what it is that you want right now. So if you're not happy, you want to figure out how to make everyone else around you to not be happy. Something that I just continue to keep on seeing over and over with stuff that just comes to my YouTube channel, that now that I've been getting rid of some old stuff that I used to watch that I just don't really care about anymore. Now some new stuff is popping up that's kind of really pushing me to have a good understanding of knowing exactly what's going on with a whole lot of people on this planet today. That I was kind of in this bubble of just looking at the world one way because of a lot of people that I was watching, and not really opening up. I was opening up a lot, but not opening up enough to seeing a whole nother group of people out here that are just hurting, that are just struggling. And the main thing about that is you're struggling and you're hurting and you're confused and you don't know who you are and you don't know what's going on with you, to the point that you want to make everyone else be that, feel that, and live that. And that's very, very, very evil, to try to set someone up to try to do and be something that is just not of being able to figure out who they are and what they're all about. That you have to do things to try to, the main thing is, if you have to force somebody, this is where things get complicated in the Bible, because the Bible never, ever, ever, ever states for us to do such a thing, is to go and force somebody to believe in it, and damn and damage them because they don't believe in it, and talk down to them if they don't believe it, and or even just completely reject them and neglect them if they don't believe it. There's some people out there that do that about the Bible, that give it a very, very bad name. They give God a real bad understanding of who he is and what he's all about. And that's very, very damaging. It's very, very toxic. But there's some people out here that you have it in you that you want somebody to respond to you and speak to you and treat you and act to you a certain way, and if they don't, then you're just doing everything you can to try. The best way I could to say it, to make it simple, is to cancel them, to shut them down, to get them fired, to get them out of here, to get them fined, to put them in jail, to do certain things because somebody doesn't want to validate what it is that you're doing with your life and the things that you're all about. There should be no one on this planet that you think that you have the right behind you to try and force and dictate and demand somebody to talk to you a certain way. In reality, the way that we should be doing is being kind to each other, so that we want to talk to each other a certain way. Not out here acting as if we're superior than another person to force someone to be able to talk to you the way that you want to be talked to. You have to, that's a thing called respect. If you're not giving any respect, you're not putting out any sort of kindness and putting out any sort of gentleness, you're not putting out any sort of trust, you're not going to get anything back. All you're going to get back is what you're putting out there. So when you're out there just slandering, when you're out there trying to damage, when you're out there trying to destroy, why do you think that somebody should just stop what they're doing and listen to you and praise you and work for you and do something for you? It doesn't make sense. And then the main thing behind that is you got it in you that you're trying to get together with certain organizations to try to do certain things that are trying to force that on people. That you can go out there and say whatever you want to anybody. You can call me a stupid, pathetic, hate, malicious, Bible-believing person. But if I say any of those words to you, you're just like, I got to go to jail now. Like, that's all of a sudden wrong. That's all of a sudden something that's super inappropriate. And it's like I don't know how else to say it, but that's just like the stupidest thing possible on this planet to do. That's so silly. And the more and more we do stuff like that, is the more and more we're doing what it is that a lot of people on this planet are already complaining about, and such thing as racism. Where I'm going to still say today that I don't believe that is a correct word for what it is that goes on with us, on how we have a specific group of people. And we used to think that racism was with color, when I'm going to say that it's not. That's why that's not an appropriate word. That's a human word created to try and put a word on something that we don't have an understanding of. So that word just sums up like everything, such as using words like homophobic or transphobic or I don't know what you would call Bible-phobic or God-phobic, Jesus-phobic. I don't know what else out there. That we use these terms because we don't know what to actually use for it. So we just slap these labels out there to just make everybody that's what it is. If you believe in the Bible, that's something that in reality, I've heard this, and I haven't had this said to me yet, but I've heard people say this, that if you or me believe in this Bible and believe in it 100%, I'm transphobic up front, and I should be damned and damaged and canceled and pushed away and put in jail because I believe that. And that is like, what I'm going to say is the opposite of what the United States of America is all about. That is the opposite of what a free society is all about. That is the opposite of what a democratic peoples is all about. That is the opposite of all of that. That is the opposite of having the free will to be able to do what we do. That is the opposite of everything. When you're going to say that a group of people that don't believe what you believe Now we got to shut them, cancel them, put them in jail. That is just like the silliest, childish, because that is what it is. It's what's going on. I don't care what anybody has to say to me about it. It is so childish. It is so meaningless. It is so pathetic that that's where we're headed, and that's what we're doing, and that's what goes on this planet. That if you think that you're going to get somebody to respect you because you can do something to them to try and what is that word, defame their name, then you're sadly mistaken that what it is that you're a part of is not as powerful as you really think it is. Because if what you're doing, this is where I'm going to guarantee something with God and Jesus and this Bible and the Spirit that's going to enter your heart when you start to understand who He is and live by His commandments. That I don't need to try to damage you, slander you, shut you down, shut you out. I don't need to try to rehabilitate you in any way for you to understand who God is and what He's all about. That I don't need to do any of that. That in reality, God will do that Himself. And that's what I personally see that God is doing today, is the more that you try and be in a position, in a situation where you want to be a part of a group that's putting out hate. That's putting out hate more. And the reason I'm going to say that is because if everyone, you're saying that everybody hates you, it's because you have the hate initially. Everyone doesn't hate you. You hate the world. So that's why the hate is seeming like it's coming back to you. And if you're out there constantly doing that, you're out there forcing someone to have to do what it is that you do. And when you're constantly having to do that, that means that you are not happy with where it is that you are. And if you're not happy with where it is that you are, you need to do things to try to make yourself feel satisfied. And to make yourself feel satisfied is out there trying to shut every single person up that goes against what it is that you think or feel or say. And that's so backwards of trying to get somebody to understand your opinion, to try to get someone to understand your position, to try to get someone to understand who it is and what you're all about, to try to get someone to understand that what it is that you're doing is the right thing for you, and not you trying to just force upon yourself what it is that you think that is good for you. You're trying to force it. You're trying to make it work. You're trying to put it so hard to you're not giving other people an option to even agree or disagree. That you just slander them to the point that you move forward with making them do what it is that they do for you, and not actually like having them accept you for how you are and what's going on with you. Something that is just super challenging that goes on this planet that I don't know why and hows, but to me it makes more sense that this is a push that God is pushing upon the people. You know, there was a time in the day that in the beginning of the Bible, in the beginning when Noah and his sons got together and they started building, that they started building his city and they started building his tower, and then they started to just confuse. He had to come down and then he confused the language and spread them out. It's almost like that's what I personally see that God is doing again today. He's confusing people, He's confusing you, and He's doing such a thing in a way of not because you're going to be able to do great things, but because you're headed to absolute disaster. So He's confusing more and more people today. He's not letting you and allowing you to be able to realize and recognize who you actually truly are. And it's in a way for me to just have a good understanding of realizing that it's something that is just that we are doing that is wrong. That when we're doing it wrong, he's trying to like get us to spread out and do something differently so that we can figure out how to be able to get on to doing the right thing. And the right thing is, for what I have a good understanding of, is living by the commands that He's given us to be able to live by. That I'm going to say this, the more and more that I just recognize and I see people and I pay attention to folks and I pay attention to my own self of what it is and the right ways to be able to live on this planet, that's about the only way to be able to have what it is that you're looking for. It keeps you away from doing pretty much like not pretty much, but pretty much every illegal activity out here, especially in this country. It keeps you away from doing anything out there that is wrong, that is not right. That society would say you shouldn't do this, that I shouldn't be out at night taking vehicles. I shouldn't be out during the day breaking into people's houses and holding people hostage. What is it called? Home invasions. That I shouldn't be out there talking bad about anybody. Like, living by the commands is more powerful than any law that America can put on its citizens to figure out how to be able to live a nice life. I mean, if we were living by the rules, we were living by the commands, we wouldn't even need like street lights. We wouldn't need stop signs. We wouldn't even need any of that stuff. Because we would have a natural flow of understanding like, oh, I've been waiting, so it's time to go. No, it's time for them to go. I'll go ahead and wait for them. We would just be working back and forth like that with each other, that we wouldn't have any hate towards each other. Like having this level of a scarcity. We were like, I got to be the one to do it first, or I'm not going to be able to have it. I'm not going to be able to do it. We'd be living a completely different way on this planet. And it's a very interesting thing that just constantly keeps going on that I see with where we're progressing today, that a lot of times I just get stuck in thinking like, oh man, that's the Satan, that's the devil, that's the doings of that. But then I'm like, No, because based on when I keep on constantly reading this Bible, I constantly keep on running into the scenario of hearing and realizing that it's God that puts everyone in the sticky situations. It's God that's putting everyone in enslavement. It's God that's putting everyone and getting them to be oppressed and having people come in and take their land and enslaving them to the point that they're just calling and begging and pleading. And it's God that's continuing doing that. It's got nothing to do with no devil. The devil doesn't do that at all in any way. And it makes me kind of confused in a way of thinking like, what is the devil's role in reality? When God's the one that's moving and pushing all this. And he's doing that for a reason, to get the people to start praying to him, to start worshiping, to start understanding him more. That's why he's doing that. So it's almost a way that I can see today of this whole gay, lesbian, trans thing getting pushed so hard, because it's a way for me to have a good understanding of God is trying to wake up some people on this planet. He's trying to get us enslaved. He's trying to get every single Bible believer right now jammed up with believing that we believe in the Bible, because that's exactly what's happening. That it's starting to become what is considered hate speech. And that's a way of putting people in bondage, putting them in slavery, putting them in oppression again, allowing a group of people to come in, which is fascinating because it's like, there's many times that this has happened, but not many times. But usually the people that are taking over are usually like the majority. Like like a bigger army would come in and take a smaller army, basically. It's never usually like a small army comes in and takes this huge thing, but that does happen a few times. And it's very interesting. It's like something like that is happening right now, that a small army is trying to take over a massive, huge army. But at the same time, I have to say to myself, who is an actual true believer of God and believer in Jesus that is actually living by the commandments today? Is that really a large army, or is that just a small group where this other group is a large compared to it? That's something that I have to really think about, because when I just do research on church after church after church, figuring out what your beliefs are, what your philosophy is, and everything that you speak about, no one speaks about the commandments. They just preach the message of God and Bible. And that's all that matters. That's how you're able to get saved. They're not preaching the message of the commandments. So in my opinion, they're not preaching the message of how to actually be able to get saved. They're not preaching the message of how to actually be able to get healed from problems that you have going on in your life. They're not preaching that message at all. They're just preaching the message to, in reality, keep you stuck. So when you're getting that message, you're in reality part of the same group that is trying to consume and take over and say that the Bible is hate speech. And it's super fascinating, because it's something that I just, when I'm looking at it and hearing stuff and hearing people talk about it, it makes me see that something's got to happen, that God is in reality trying to convince and get all his believers to get more and more hardcore into what it is that we're doing out here. More and more hardcore into the true beliefs of who he is. More and more hardcore into praying. More and more into figuring out what's going on here, that I need to figure out how to get out of this and get away from this, and how can I allow God to be able to come back. It's forcing more and more people to do that, and that's something that I see. I see half of the crowd that's just trying to shut that Bible down, but then I see another half of people that are just standing up, just best way I could put it is gangster strong. They are like 10 times downing on their belief in Jesus and what he's all about. They're like going way further into it. And that's like a beautiful thing. And that's something that I can say that my own self is doing, that I want to get out of the confusion. I want to get out of the weird madness of not knowing who I am and not understanding anything about myself. I want to get out of that and get away from that. And the way that I've been able to get out and away from that is to live by the commands that God has given us to be able to live and to be able to understand. And it's such a beautiful thing. And when I see craziness going on, when someone is just, for me growing up, it was just a lot of, it was very unfortunate, but it was a lot of just colored people, brown people, so-called black people, and things like that were just struggling with a lot of crime and a lot of just confusion and a lot of, I don't know who I am and I don't know what I'm doing and I don't know where I'm going and I don't know how to show up on time. I don't know how to stay dedicated. I don't know how to stay motivated. That was like a huge thing in all the schools I went to when I was in the public school system. But then I went into the private school system and I found out like that was just something that was going on with a specific color of a people that was just challenging. But the older I get, I'm starting to realize like, man, that's just like everybody now. Like that's so many people, and especially like today under the age of 30, that's like everybody is, not everybody, but everybody is struggling with this identity issue of I don't know who I am, and I'm not sure if I'm a girl, I'm not sure if I'm a boy, I'm not sure if I'm even, what starts to get confusing to me and let me know how confused people really are is I'm not sure so if you're a guy, and then you want to be a girl, but then you're like, I'm a lesbian. But it's like, dude, you're a dude that still likes girls, but yet you're a girl now that likes girls. It's like an extreme amount of confusion. And that confusion just makes me want to like read my Bible even more, because I never want to be that confused. I never want to be that thrown off of knowing who I am and what I'm all about. I never want to be in that situation. And you run into that situation because you have no guidance. You have no one to teach you how to be able to figure out what you're all about. You have no one to teach you how to make you feel secure with who you are. And sometimes that's something that just switching identities is not going to be able to get you to feel more comfortable with yourself. It's in reality gonna make it more challenging. And that's why now we've got the whole you can be a girl or a boy or a nun. And after you go to the nun, you're going to run into a stumbling point, because you're like, if you're a girl and you want to be a guy and you're like, hey, that's still not giving me what I want. And now I'm just like, I'm a no gender now. Now you're still not getting what you want. Where are you going next? Where's your next outlet? There is no next outlet. And no, there is. Now they've got these different things, these Zia things and these Foria things, and you're just creating new things to keep going to, because you're not fixing the core issue that's going on. The core issue is you don't know who you are and you don't feel comfortable with yourself. Trying to be somebody else is not going to make you feel comfortable with yourself. It's going to make you feel even more uncomfortable with yourself, because now you have to act and portray to be like something else that in reality you don't want to be like. You just want to be yourself. And being yourself is not hard, but it's a hard thing in reality to do when you don't have any guidance of having some sort of structure of what's right and what's wrong. You're just going to run off and start doing whatever it is that you think that somebody sounds cool, so I'm going to go and do that and try that. But you're running into a situation that it's not working. It's not working. And I keep seeing that. That's why we're no longer dealing with boy and girl or nothing. Now we're moving into dogs and cats and lizards and stars and moons and suns, and we're moving into all kinds of other things. And you're never going to find that one that's going to fit for you. You're never going to. You're never going to be a dude that's going to switch to a female and think like, now I'm set, now I'm good to go. Because you're not dealing with the main thing that's going on, the confusion that you have in the beginning, the root cause, the root situation here. You're just trying to escape it, and you can't escape it. It's the same as doing drugs. It's the same as doing alcohol. It's the same as gambling. It's the same as anything of excessive to try to get yourself to be able to relax and calm down. Anything that you're just running away from. Because in reality, everything that you do like that, you're running away from God. You're completely just giving up on him. You're doing everything you can to stay away from him. And the more and more that you stay away from him, the more and more that you're going to be even more confused. You're going to go to sleep one day and feeling I'm like this, and then you're going to wake up and like, man, I don't feel like myself. That's something that I can say that happens quite often. The main thing that I started talking about up front right now is sometimes there's good times, and then sometimes you're going to have challenging times. Just because you're having challenging times, just because things don't, that's a way to say it that I don't approve of that, but the way I feel about it right now doesn't mean that you have to make a shift to try to make yourself do something and be something different so that you can feel better. It just means that maybe you're just having a hard time right now. Maybe you're just struggling right now. Maybe you're in a situation that you need to figure out how to be able to find why you are in that situation and why you aren't able to get any sort of relief out of that situation. And that for me is going straight to the Bible, straight to God, straight to the commandments. That's the number one thing that I just know is going to be able to help a whole lot of people out with being able to figure out what's wrong with you and not have to keep jumping to the next and jumping to the next and jumping to the next. Because what are we going to go to next when the whole world and society and the United States of America is no longer going to accept anything more than girl, boy, or nothing? What are we going to go to next? What's going to happen next? Because we're going to end up in a very, very tragic, the people that are in this and doing this are going to end up in a very, very tragic position. And that's where, for me, I guess, in reality, it does, and it will, and it already is affecting me in a way of saying that I'm a hater because of what I believe in. And that's so you're oh, that's the way of saying it. Your insecurities of knowing what can actually help you, your insecurities of knowing what can be able to bring you the peace, that you're just trying your best to block it and push it away. And what you want to do is get the validation and the likes from other human beings, as opposed to just getting the validation from God to let him know, to speak to you, to say to you. And it's an amazing thing, because the way these Proverbs are written, because a lot of people are just like, oh, God is a man. And it's like, but say yes, so. But say understanding is a woman. She gives you understanding. Wisdom is a woman. She gives you wisdom. and what knowledge is a woman. Is she gives you knowledge. It's all of these things that there's the man aspect, and then there's also the woman aspect of this planet. That we are balancing between both. We're not just going off of just one. That's where I think that some people just reject the Bible because it's like, oh, it's men. It's only talking about men. It's all for men. It's like, no, it's definitely 100% for women because most of this is something that I just know with animals. And I don't care what anybody has to say to me, and I don't care what any even Bible believer wants to say to me about the whole concept that a woman should be submissive to her man, which there's things about that today we don't understand that term. But a woman should be shut up and be quiet and this and that. Yes, in a huge scene, but to her husband, in her family, in her household, there's something that I've just come to notice that we as humans can't be so much different than how these animals function and what they do. But when it comes down to some animals, I pay extremely, very, very close attention to everything that I have around me. And there's one thing that I do know, and I know this is a fact, and anybody that watches animals like very, very, very closely, you will know this, that the boys look like they're the ones that are in power. The boys look like they're the ones that are in control. The boys look like they're the ones that are running the show. But in reality, they're not. They're just the ones that are up front displaying these actions, and the girls are the ones that are in the back telling these guys what to do and showing these guys how to get it done and explaining to them what they need and why you see two boys that are fighting, because the girl doesn't feel comfortable. She feels threatened because she's got this other dude here. This is what happens with the world of the roosters and the chickens for 100% fact. The girls don't feel safe. When they don't feel safe, they don't go out and fight. They send their man out to go and fight, and that man is going to go and fight those other two dudes that get them all the heck out of here so that the girls can feel safe. That's what goes on with everything. With dogs, I see the exact same thing. When the girls don't feel safe, the dude goes out and fights all and does all the bickering and battering and doing all this huff and puffing and stomping their feet, and they do that. The cows, the same exact way. When the girls don't feel safe, the dude is going to go out there and get something done about it. So the girl is the one that's in reality in control, because she's the one that's telling this guy where to go, what to do, and how to get it done. And that's why the whole situation of not women not being talking in huge congregations and being pastors and things like that, because they had their guy go out there and do it for them. It's not that the guy's out there doing it for her even. He's doing it because he's like, I gotta protect her and keep her safe. And that's something that I think a lot of people still get stuck on that oh, well, I don't need your protection and I don't need this and I don't need that. In reality, I'm going to say that's false. That's not the reality. That may be the reality today because we live in the 20 of the 23, that everything is fairly safe. Everything is already done. Everything is already finished. But this world didn't get created off of women doing the whole thing or men doing the whole thing, because men did it in a way of how I was just saying. We go out there and build these roads and build these bridges because we want our ladies to be safe. We go out there and create these armies and create these police departments and create these fire departments to keep everybody safe. We go out there and we constantly keep doing that. And dudes out here today are going savage. They'll pay you an extreme amount of money just to be able to have a chance to be able to talk to you. They don't even want to touch you. They just want to be able to have a chance to talk to you. They'll do the most and do the extra to be able to have such a thing. So in reality, when we really just break everything down, it's the woman in reality that is controlling and moving and maneuvering everything on this planet. And that's where God has put that in place. The wisdom is the woman aspect of it. The knowledge is the woman aspect of this planet. Understanding is the woman aspect of this planet. So when that's the woman aspect of this planet, we need to make sure that we're doing something to protect that woman so that we can keep everything going and being smooth out here. And it's not because she is incapable or not able to do. It's just a matter of what our nature is. And when we this is where we're having issues 100% today. We're trying to go against our nature. And when we try to go against it, that's when we start to stumble. That's when we start to, I don't know who I am. I don't know anything about me. I don't know where to go. And then you're going against nature, and then you're having children, and then you're confused. I don't know who I am. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't have any guidance. I don't know how to this. I don't know how to that. And then you bring that and give that to your children. And then your children are way worse off of, I don't know who I am. I don't know where to go. I don't know how to get things done. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And we're just getting so challenged. We're getting so challenged. And then we're running in the situation where, oh, you're a woman, you independent, you sorry, that's you could do it all on your own, and man, there's a skunk right there, just walking middle of the day, just a skunk right there. You just independent and you don't need any help and you don't need anything and everything, you can handle it all. We're going against our nature. Not that you can't have and can't do. Hey, Shadow, I don't need you to get sprayed by a homie. Sorry, I don't know what it is about skunks, but they kind of scare me in a way because they could spray that, they could projectile spray that madness out, and it just will stank like a fool for days and weeks. But it's just we're going completely against our nature, and that's something that is just devastating. It's absolutely devastating. And it's something that since we're doing that and doing that and doing that, we're running into a situation that we no longer know who we are. We're running into a situation that we're putting too much pressure upon somebody that we shouldn't have that pressure. We're putting expectations on people that shouldn't have that. And when you're running against our nature, running against who we are, running against what it is that we're all about, we're going to run into the situation. We're going to run into the situation that, yes, we don't know anything about ourselves. Because we're not doing, oh man, that food did spray my dog. I knew he would. I can smell it all over here. We're running against ourselves, and we're not getting done what it is that we need to be getting done. And we're confused about what it is and who we are and what we're all about. And it's the tragic that I see that's going on today. The tragic of, I'm not sure if I'm this, I'm not sure if I'm that, I'm not sure if I'm over here, I'm not sure if I'm over there. We're just not sure about anything anymore. And being unsure about stuff is just, it's I'm gonna say one of probably the most hard things to deal with on this planet, because I've lived that life myself of I don't know what I am. I don't know what role I should take. And that's something for me that I never could hang out with anybody. I couldn't hang out with white people because they were just like, well, you're too colored to be white, so you're not that. I couldn't hang out with black people because they're just like, oh, you're just too white. You're like a white guy, so you don't really get along with me. And I was just like, then who am I? What am I? What side should I go to? Where should I go here? What is it that I should be paying attention to? Because I just didn't know. And then it took for me to have a good understanding of knowing who God is and start to get by his commands and just realize, like, I'm me. I don't need to try to fit in with this and try to fit in with that. I'm me. I'm unique. I'm myself. I'm all about just a very solo person. And I don't need to be like this and I don't need to be like that. I just need to be like me. And once I can start to just be like me, I realize that I don't have issues with how people view me or how people treat me or how people say anything about me. That I'm just me. And you're gonna accept that, like that, be cool with that, or not. And I don't need to force myself, and I don't need to force you to appreciate me. I don't need to force you to say what color I am. I don't need to make you treat me the way that I want you to treat me. That is so silly. That is so backwards. That is something that, I don't know, I feel you. That skunk is just raking. I don't even know what to do about cleaning skunk smell. But that's something that is just so backwards and so upside down, to be able to think that I have to force somebody to treat me a certain way because of what it is that I want to display out to the world, as opposed to just me being confident with myself and just saying, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, and this is just what it is. You don't agree with it? Cool. You wanted this? Cool. You wanted that? Cool. But I'm just myself. I'm just me. I'm not gonna try to force you to say I'm a black guy. I'm not gonna force you to say that I'm a white guy. Could I do such a thing? That's what's going on today. You better say I'm white. You better say it. Or this, or this, or that. And I'm got this backing here to make you have to say that, or you're gonna get tickets, and you're gonna get fines, you're gonna get this, and you're gonna get that if you don't believe that's what I am. When you can clearly look at me and just say, well, dude, you might have that gene in you, but what you display to the world is not that. You're displaying to the world something different. My brownness that I'm displaying to the world is something that's very, very specific to when you just see it. You can't just like, I can't force you to say what I am. And that's what's going on today. You want to force people because you don't feel confident, feel secure with your own self. And when you don't feel confident, feel secure with your own self, you try to find other people that are the same way. And then you try to band up together, and then you try to just dictate and try to control the world in a way. That's the way I say it. I only can say it. It's so sad. It's sad to me. And the number one way I know we can be able to get out of that is being able to have a good understanding of knowing who God is. And that's why for me, I can see that it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, because it's making more and more people like me sit here and stand up and just say, God is the only way. God is the way. God is, it forces us to have to dig deeper into it. It forces us to have to pray more. Say, God, this is getting confusing. God, this is getting a little overwhelming. God, this is getting to the point that I don't even know where to go. I need some help. And more people are going to start praying and praying and praying. We're not in a need of wars and people taking over anymore. No, we're in different times today. We're no longer needing a war or a battle. We just need a group of people to try to take over and try to consume. That's the same thing as a war. in reality, that is what it is at the end of the day. And when that happens, when Christians, so-called Christians, I don't like that term because that's not the correct term, but people, Bible believers, people that believe in Jesus, people that believe in the one true God that created this world, that created the earth, that created the stars, that created the sun, that created the moon, created all these animals, created me, created you, created every single thought, concept, and idea of everything that it is that we do out here, that created it all, created the weather, created everything that you could possibly imagine. That God that created all of that is an absolutely incredible God. And the more and more that we keep on praying to that God, we're going to be able to figure out how to be able to get out of the mess that we're in. And we're starting to head into a very, very big mess. And in my opinion, I believe that it's God that's putting the pressure on his people to get his people to stand up and be able to start moving. And I'm just very, very thankful to be out here, to be able to continue to keep on pushing that message for God and being a slave to God in a way, of being able to just try to get my message, his message, a message out about who he is, what he's all about. And the main message is that I got to get out for God, that God has always been telling me to get out there, is you got something to work on to understand who God is, and that's to live by his commands, and that's to live by his laws, and that's to live by what it is that he's put in place for us to have to pay attention to. And I'm very thankful to be able to know that and be able to start to live that, because I'm starting to experience different things in different ways and different stuff on this planet that is just absolutely incredible. And it's not about, oh, I got money, and oh, I hate that word. I'm not even gonna use it. I got women. I got this. No, it's not anything about any of that. It's who I am, and realizing that I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I shouldn't be doing. I know where it is that I want to go. I feel very, very confident and comfortable with myself. I can look at myself and say, hey, that's me. That's what I'm about. I can look at myself and realize, like, I'm not where my body I want it to be at all times, and just say, you know, you fine, dude. You good. Like, you work on that, because it's for me to work on, for me, not to display it to somebody else, to try to get validation from somebody else, to give that to me so that I can feel like I'm secure, so I can have something in me to just make me feel confident. No, I can feel confident with my own self. I don't need that outside validation. I got it already in me. And that's what I'm very, very thankful for, with being able to have the commands that God has given me to know how to live on this land, and not have to be looking over my shoulder with anything. I think that's probably one of the best things, is not looking over my shoulder all the time. I'm realizing I'm just doing everything that I'm doing in a right motion, in a right way. And I don't have to feel as if I'm ripping someone off, I'm cheating somebody, I'm manipulating anybody, I'm talking bad about anybody, not doing anything. I'm just walking a nice, clean life, I guess I can say. And it's such a great thing. And that's what God has given us. He's given us a way to know how to be able to live a nice, free life, a nice, confident life, a nice life of knowing who you are, and recognizing yourself, and being able to allow you to be blessed and feel whole and feel complete. It's an amazing thing. And it's an amazing thing to be able to have these commandments to be able to live by, to be able to just really get to know who God actually truly is and what he's actually capable of being able to do. Thank you.